Welcome back to the channel. I've said it before, there's so many games on the Nintendo Switch that it's no surprise to see good games that go undiscovered by the masses, or get lost in the sea of weekly releases, or just plain don't get enough recognition. Each week on the channel, I try to draw attention to games that maybe you haven't heard about, especially during my eShop highlights videos. This video is a collection of 10 of those games that are of very good quality and deserve more attention from Switch gamers, aka they be some hidden gems. Yes, I've done one video like this before, but it's finally time for the sequel. So hang on, make sure to subscribe to the channel, so I tell you about 10 more hidden gems for the Nintendo Switch. We're gonna blast things open on the list with one crazy game. Mighty Goose is a fun 2D run and gun that reminds me of games like Metal Slug. I mean, you can see the heavy inspiration in the gameplay, the use of vehicles. There's no hiding that. That's fine though, because what makes Mighty Goose stand out from other inspired games is the overall quality. It's got a beautiful pixel art style, killer soundtrack, with well-developed gameplay, and stages that are just fun to play in with lots of variety going on. On top of that, it's got some humor too. I mean, we got a goose in a robot suit blowing stuff up. Yeah, you just gotta expect some funny moments. It's crazy and over the top with in-your-face action that just keeps building up stage after stage. It's a treat and one of the best run and gun games on the Switch, bar none. Make sure to play this one on your Switch when you get the chance. Oh, by the way, I have a review I did on the game earlier this year if you want to check it out. I'll have links to that in the description box and the comments down below. We're going from one inspired gem to another. Record of Lodoss War-Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth is heavily inspired by Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You know, one of the best games of all time. It's a Metroidvania, of course, that's heavy on quick movement and dodging stuff the Symphony of the Night game was known for. But it builds on that style, introducing the bow mechanic and the spell casting system. This allows for multiple ways to take on enemies, and for those who master the controls, you can do some serious damage to bosses in quick fashion. It kind of forces you to break from the typical Metroidvania action games by really using everything at your disposal in the heart of combat. It's a quality game. I love the exploration, the gameplay, I love the art style, the soundtrack is also amazing. Finally, while it's really good to see a game that uses the Record of Lodoss War license again, you do not need to know anything about it to enjoy this game. I feel this one got lost in the shuffle earlier this year because it got released after a holiday season delay, but also, when it finally came out, it did so around a time that a certain Pokemon game was burning up the charts. So yeah, that didn't do it any favors getting it noticed. Anyway, it's a fun, excellent Metroidvania adventure, and one that you most certainly should check out. Like the previous game, I did a full review of it on the channel, and I'll have links down below if you want to check it out. While previous games on this list take inspiration from a single source, Panzer Paladin takes a little bit from a bunch of different games. It's got inspiration from Mega Man, with its level choosing and boss structure. It's got elements from DuckTales, with its down plus action button attack. There's elements from Castlevania, with hidden stuff in the walls. Stuff from Blaster Master, with the ability to eject from the robot suit to play as the human pilot. You get the idea. It takes inspiration from a number of sources, but combines it all together in a fun experience that's a blast to play. I really like the weapon system in this game. You're able to obtain different types of weapons, and even construct your own to take on enemies. Each weapon also has a special spell that when you break them by choice, you're able to cast magic like a lightning attack, or being able to heal yourself. Mastering when to use each weapon for what use, be it attacking or magic, is integral to the game and adds a lot of fun. The stages are overall pretty good, each feel different and have their own challenges. It's a good 2D action game, and one that's worth playing, and a bit of a challenge too. I appreciate that for sure, especially these days. Sometimes the new 2D games can be a bit too easy. It's a good quality game, and one you should check out. What really makes Spiritfarer stand out is not just the gameplay, it's the subject matter. While this game has many happy high points, it also deals with death. That is a very big heavy thing for any game to tackle, and the way it handles it in its situations is just something I've not seen a game do. It's pretty amazing and thought-provoking. It's such a huge risk for any game to take on, but it nails it. It deals with the highs and lows, and there's a lot of it in this game, with the happy moments of interacting with your spirits, and building your ship, and all the memories, to the eventual goodbye that you will need to make. Spiritfarer is a gem, an emotional game, one that I feel that everyone should play. Don't let it stay hidden from you anymore. Get it, play it, and afterwards, tell others to do the same. I'll admit, it is weird to say that a Nintendo published game is a hidden gem, but hey, we saw that with Astro Chain in the previous video, so it's not like it hasn't happened before. Sometimes games from them get lost in the sauce too. Time UFO is another one published from them that just gets overlooked. It is a small game by the developers of many of the Kirby games, HAL Laboratories. It was originally released on mobile phones, but came out on the Switch in an updated version in 2020. In this game, you play as a small UFO who takes on part-time jobs to earn some extra cash. You're able to drop a claw, similar to a claw machine, and pick up and manipulate objects to complete certain goals. In each job, there's a variety of goals to achieve in addition to the main goal, and you'll need to figure out how to complete them with your UFO claw. It ends up being a really fun mechanic to play around with. The Switch version adds several new modes, like Treasure of Island and Tower of Infinity, in addition to several additional new jobs, 2-player support, and more. That, coupled with actually using buttons instead of a touchscreen, makes the Switch version the best one to get. It's a really good game from HAL, and one that gets slept on quite often. Make sure to pick this up for the Switch. It's an excellent physics-based puzzle game with a lot of charm. There's a lot of shoot-em-ups on the Switch, especially from the indie crowd, but Project Starship X has always been one that stood out to me. It's heavy into using the dodge mechanic to traverse stages, as opposed to the typical just shoot everything you see. This game will try to keep you on your toes too, as it will try to send everything at you to try to get you to smack into something. It's a roguelite, where each time you play, there's different levels you encounter and power-ups. On top of this, there's a bevy of secrets to discover, such as a certain shopkeeper who keeps telling you not to shoot him. Just a hint there. It's a really fun shoot 'em up, lots of humor in it too. Check it out, it's a lot of fun. Yoku's Island Express is one that guarantees some people watching have passed it over thinking it's not noteworthy or anything. If you're thinking that, you couldn't be more wrong. It's an open world game that uses pinball to explore and platform. That alone makes it very different from typical Metroidvania style adventures. You'll need to use those pinball mechanics to get around, explore, unlock new abilities, and fight off many bosses. It's up there as one of the best 2D games on the Switch. Maybe it's because of the name, or maybe it's the marketing, or the fact it goes on sale so often. People have passed it over, but trust me, don't continue to sleep on this game. It's quite good, and can often be found for cheap. There isn't too many good things out there you can buy anymore for 99 cents or $1, especially with the way inflation is these days. But Toree 2 might be hands down the best dollar you can spend on the Switch. It's a bite-sized 3D platformer, very much inspired by the 32-bit era of gaming. You'll need to race through the levels as fast as you can, collecting items, while platforming your heart out to the best of your ability to get the best rank possible. Each stage feels different and gets progressively harder than before. The first one is $1 as well, but this sequel here tightens things up with just better level design overall. It's not an overly complex game in its mechanics, it just does what it does very well for a steal of a price. This game was featured in my $2 and under games on the eShop video, so if you're looking for even more super cheap goodness, I'll leave a link to that video down below for you to check out later. I already talked about one shoot 'em up on this list as a hidden gem, but I'll slip in one more. Cotton Fantasy is a horizontal shooter where you control one of many different characters, each who have different gameplay styles and mechanics, while going through a series of levels and taking on a variety of bosses in typical shoot 'em up fashion. What makes this game stand out compared to the others is the amount of varied replayability. Again, there's a lot of different characters who play very different from each other. Additionally, aside from a few exceptions, you can pretty much choose your set order of stages you want to go through, a la Mega Man style, and you unlock additional stages as you play. It all makes for an excellent value as a shoot 'em up. It's also one I recommend for those who are trying to get into shoot 'em ups. It won't kick you in the face so much like other shoot 'em ups, but don't worry, veterans. There's plenty of challenge here with harder difficulty modes, and the crest to get high scores on the leaderboards. I've gone into this one in a review on the channel before, like the others, I'll put a link down in the description box down below and in the comments for you to check out later if you wish. For the final game of the list, I have 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Now, this is one I think most Atlas fans have heard about, but when you go outside that group, you realize that a lot of people have no freaking clue what this game is about. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is a side-scrolling adventure game with real-time strategy battles. A good portion of the game will have you exploring stories of 13 high school students in 1980s Japan who are dragged into a war against kaijus. Yes, this story is trippy for sure, but it's engaging, and that really is the game's strong suit. The story, with its characters and interactions, are executed really well here, and you want to keep going to discover how deep the story goes. It's also a game that you really don't want to spoil yourself on. It's kind of one of those games you want to go in knowing very little, but trust me, it's great. It's one of the better adventure games on the Switch. Just know that you'll need to explore every option with the narratives to see it all, and you'll need to discover certain conditions to unlock some secrets. The RTS sections are okay. They're not the most in-depth aspects of the game, I'll admit, but they help advance the story while changing things up. And let's face it, can't have a game about mechs versus kaijus without seeing some fighting action, so this is a good way to get it across. It's also a beautiful game. Vanillaware has made some beautiful art, and the Switch version looks as great as any other version out there, both in docked and handheld modes. It's a wonderful game, a gem, and one that you should definitely play. And there you go, 10 more hidden gems for the Nintendo Switch. Have you played any of these games before? If so, let me know in the comments. If there's a game you consider to be a hidden gem on the Switch, feel free to comment what game it is in the comments down below too. If you haven't seen the first video I did on Nintendo Switch hidden gems before, don't worry, just like the other videos I mentioned earlier, I'll have a link to it down below in the description box and in the comments for you to check out later. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so yet, make sure to click on the subscribe and notification buttons so you stay up to date with future videos. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.